And yeah, so what do you want to talk about? I know one thing I did want to talk about. We can bring it up. I think I remembered. I misquoted or remembered how bad our seasons were.
Yeah.
Junior, senior. You know what I think I did when I was looking at those seasons? I looked at it for some reason. Um, and what I think I did is just ignored like the conference stuff, like Jefferson, Auburn. I just knew that we weren't very good, and I knew that we didn't have many
We
wins.
weren't we weren't a great overall team. I think like your junior year we were 15-8 and then 11-14 as a team. But like what you were talking to about Marty was like, yeah, we went to the Cheesehead, those years and we had some guys that they filled spots in the lineup, but they weren't ready for the cheese. That's a grind.
Yeah. Well,
And
what do you think about the new tournament system where, well, we were specifically obviously talking about Ironman and how they don't even allow certain number there you have to get accepted to be in that tournament.
right.
But what do you think about the fact that because there's no limit on tournaments, you could really maximize weight classes or at least the quality of a tournament by only allowing um, you know,
Yeah.
whether they're honorable mention, ranked opponents, whatever it is to get into a tournament.
Yeah, I think I like the idea now that the tournament, there's not a limit. Because at the end of the year, individually, you compete in a tournament setting. So why not allow guys to go out and train for, the state series that way? Also, I like it if you're a team and you're not a good dual team, maybe you don't have a full lineup. You're not tied to, hey, you have to wrestle so many duels, right? You don't have to wrestle any duels really, unless you're in a conference and you got to wrestle your conference duels, and you load yourself with tournaments. It makes for long weekends, but it also, as a coach on both sides of it, if you have a team of 14, solid dual team, you don't want to show up, and have your guys, make weight on a Wednesday night, let's say, and there's only 5 matches total. It's you lost a night of training, you've lost, um, your guys probably suffered, sacrificed to get to that weight, not suffered, but they did what they needed to, and only a handful are going to get a match on the other side. If I'm that coach and I only have 5 guys, I want to put out a good product, and I feel guilty. At least I did. If we didn't fill a full lineup, I felt guilty. Man, you have a team coming in, they got full lineup plus some. That you can't get their guys matches because you and I both know what it's like going through wrestling. It's not fun. And the fun part is getting to compete. So I
Well,
like if I was getting back into coaching and a team that I couldn't fill full, I would look at trying to fill it with tournaments my guys could compete in
yeah.
and get
Well,
experience
also,
and move forward.
you know how like when I was coaching at Boylan, um, before the second year even started,
Mm-hmm.
the Cheesehead called us and said they're not letting us back in because, I only took like
Mm-hmm.
3 kids. But the if you set up a tournament where you don't discriminate teams that only have 3 studs
Right.
because you can go out and go, hey, we're gonna go find other kids to fill this bracket. Now, small programs that only have a couple, good individuals can still find elite competition for those individuals because um yeah, I mean, sometimes I'm sure it's happened to a lot of programs where they're not that great, so they don't bring all 14 kids because, you know, say 10 of them are going to end up 0-2 and just be sitting out. Now the tournament's not in a position to want to kick you out of the tournament because they can go get those 10 athletes from other teams. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I just wish more people would do that. Obviously, from a tournament director standpoint, you probably don't want to go out there and have to fill the brackets, but I feel
Well,
like
your good teams don't want to show up to our tournament and their guys get 2 matches. They have a bye until
but they
it's a
also
six.
don't want to wrestle a kid that gets a pin in 10 seconds.
Right. And
So
it's that double-edged sword. And like you said, I was on this. We got kicked out of the Harvard tournament the one year
yeah,
because I only brought. They sent out a memo, mind you, the year before. I think that year, the last year we went, and it was before you took over. Um, we went and we got a plaque because we were one of the original teams in the tournament. We've been in it
yeah,
every year, right?
yeah,
And and it was numbers are dropping in it, and the AD sent out a memo. Hey, you got to field a full lineup, otherwise we're looking. You know,
yeah,
I could have put a full lineup in there, but like I told him, I'm not going to bring a kid that's going to spend two matches under a minute.
yeah.
It's not good for him. It's not good for the other guys. And as a team, I think we finished fifth was the guys I brought. I'm like, so I brought quality competition, but you're gonna not have me back because I couldn't just throw bodies. And so, we went back and forth. Ultimately,
Yeah, we got
things
back in
changed, and
anyways. Yeah.
a new AD came in, and he had a little more wrestling knowledge, and maybe we knew him, and he let us back in. But it was, you look at the tournaments like an Ironman, right? You guys were talking about that, and you know, you were part of that, right? Was Montini? Did you go out there? Was
I
Montini
never
ever?
went to, I didn't go out there, but I was coaching that year. I had
But a
school.
team like Montini, I think they allowed them to bring the whole team because they were actually competing for.
Yeah. I mean, that year we
I mean,
were
they were
top three in the country. So
right. But you look at Hononegah and they let them bring three.
yeah.
And I think
Well, now, I mean, now more than ever, it's going to get more competitive to want to be in because because of the new rule change, there are more people that are looking to try to get 1, 2, 3 individuals on their team, those premier national
yeah,
matches. So I think it's cool. It's a great opportunity for a tournament to try to market itself to a larger audience of competitors. So we'll see how it plays out over
right.
the next couple of years.
And I think a tournament like the Ironman, of course, it's one of the top premier or the Powerade or the Dr. Buchanan, even the Dvorak. What they can benefit from, they run a straight bracket, right? Like where the Cheesehead, they put you into the pools
Cool.
and then you rust. So it's tougher to allow extra guys in. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe
Well,
maybe all
I
the
would,
teams are full at 132. Hey, we're not going to have, one extra guy, and I don't know. I'm just thinking logistics, but
yeah,
like a bracketed tournament, Ironman, hey, if they have, I don't know how many people, it's 35 in the weight class, they can make that extra round work,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I would bet, it would be interesting to talk to, Cleve. But
Yeah.
I would imagine that Cheesehead, they might actually change the bracket to that, straight bracket. Uh, if more people want to get into it, like an Ironman, it's taken a more of a, prestigious title. So
Yeah,
I
they
would
bring
be
in
curious
some
whether,
teams from all over. I mean, so
yeah, who knows? But I like both tournament formats.
yeah,
I think they both work out, and you could still run the same type of a tournament and still take in 4 kids from each team or whatever like that. So
yeah. I mean,
uh,
it's all
I like the
logistics.
pool tournament in general just because it creates. I mean, obviously, um, I don't know how does the pool selected though? Is that random?
I think they seed it. They seed how many pools they have, like 8. Even like Sycamore, they seed the top 8, and then if some guys still have criteria after that, they may seed them. But then it's just, I think, a
I got you.
random draw. Just put guys in, try to
Yeah,
separate so you don't get 2 studs in the
yeah,
same pool. You try to spread it out, I guess.
yeah.
The
Well,
nice thing,
speak.
is you guys are guaranteed a number of matches, which is good and bad. Like at the Cheesehead, if you got a kid who's very green, man, it's a grind, you know that. I mean, there's not a lot of bad competition there. Or, you go down to Sycamore and it's a little less of a grind. It's still a long day, but you have a better chance of your guy meeting up with, if they're in the 0-4 bracket, they're probably going to meet someone that's pretty close to their
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, it definitely works out at Sycamore for most of
Yeah.
the like local athletes and stuff, but definitely Cheesehead when I was in high school, there was a couple kids that just had really tough days
Oh,
and
yeah.
they probably
Oh,
did not
yeah.
want to be there.
Yeah.
But speaking of people around the area and our team and the Ironman, so tomorrow Belvidere wrestles Hononegah
Yep.
at Belvidere North.
Yeah. Belvedere North. Yep.
And yeah, so I'm curious to see how that duel works out with the potential that some might not be there, I'm assuming.
Well, I'm guessing, I thought, the two Cassiopeias and the Silva wouldn't be there because they're traveling,
Yeah.
right? They wrestle Friday, so they're probably traveling. Um, so I mean, that's three, they're three studs right away out of their lineup, which helps Belvedere definitely,
Yeah.
because they don't match up with those three very well.
Yeah.
But looking at the results from the Barrington and then even this past weekend, I mean, Hononegah's very good. I mean, they got a great. I mean, they're more than just those
Oh,
three and
for
the
sure. We
Sundell.
were,
I mean, they're
yeah,
they're solid throughout that lineup. So Tyler's done a good job of getting a team together there.
yeah. I went into their, when I went into the practice and got a chance to see that. Yeah. I mean, won the conference champ, Darling. I think he was the conference champ last
Yeah,
year.
like a
Um,
26 maybe or something.
yeah. He's pretty tough. And I just think that they have a couple kids who aren't varsity that are going to be able to pop in and they're probably varsity wrestlers in another
Yeah,
place, right? So
yeah,
yeah, no, they're definitely very solid this year. And I think that they're still definitely the favorites to win. I would be curious. I guess I
yeah.
wanted to see the straight up match or whatever, but I think that they're still going to be in position of I think they're still going to have
Yeah,
the
the
favorite
upper
going
hand
in.
there. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know it's sad, probably a better duel if Belvedere doesn't lose a couple of kids they lose. Um, but still, top to bottom, weight class to weight class, I think Hononegah's just more solid this year than Belvedere is.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't got a chance
I'm gonna be
to
biased towards Belvedere all the time, but they're pretty young and they lost graduation quite a bit, and then the transfer
to
portal got them.
yeah, the transfer portal definitely got him. Well, so Marty and I finished up last time talking about some of the things, and that's when you reached out. Was there anything else that was in that podcast that you were thinking about, whether college wrestling or or
Well,
even
just
the high school stuff?
the thing that was the transfers, because you guys talked about that even in the college, whatever. But more at the high school, you've been following, what's going on with these kids, and they were kind of in limbo, and I think they just got cleared, a couple of them at least yesterday, right?
Yeah, everybody except for Jimmy
Right.
Maston.
But I think the Colin Young kid
Oh yeah,
lost,
specifically.
right?
Yeah, I'm not. I guess I'm not I'm only talking about the Marion
Right.
Central kids. The IC kids, I'm still actually in limbo. I don't
Right.
really know what's
But
going on. I haven't found
to
out
me,
anything. But
it's neither here nor there. The kids made a decision, parents made a decision what they thought was going to be best for them. So they go there, and then whatever comes through. Well, and to me, it's interesting. It's the kids who end up suffering. Like, right? If those guys lose that year eligibility, they suffer. Like, there's never any sanctions against the school. There's never like coaches, like, you know, like, oh well, hey, we tried. It's too bad you guys lost a year. We'll just move on. And look for next year to be better. I mean, it's like I think there's, I don't know, not repercussions, maybe it's not the right word, but I mean, sometimes kids get sold a bill of goods and it doesn't come through. It's the kids who are out, not the person that sold it to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, well, here's the thing. Some of it's not a bill of goods that some of them are really improvements of situations.
Yeah, right.
Um, I think, I talked to a coach at a school, not at any of the schools that we're talking about, off the record, so I
Yeah,
can't mention who he is. But we talked a lot about the idea of like open enrollment and adapting from a state standpoint
hmm
to allow kids to kind of go wherever they wanted to go. I know, I guess the state of Iowa and Wisconsin has it.
I
And
think
I know,
Arizona has it too.
say that again.
Arizona, I think, has
Yeah,
a open.
I think a lot of states have open enrollment. And I think at some point, one of two, it's kind of like, what is it? Uh, I don't even know the phrase to make it sense, but at some point it's going to come to a tipping point, right? If you don't allow the movability of an individual, right? So obviously we're talking about people uprooting themselves and moving to different places in order to pursue their goals and aspirations. Um, if you limit their ability to do that, then you're going to delegitimize the entire thing altogether. Um, because I've had this conversation with athletic directors before, but there is not one kid in any state, not in this state, but in any state that has to participate in high school sports in order to get recruited at the highest level of competition. Um, they just don't. There are national events that put them in position to be seen by college coaches, and college coaches are recruiting some of these kids in 8th grade. So it's
Yeah,
ironic that a college coach can recruit a kid, but any concept of a high school program recruiting is a no-go. So I'm interested to see how it all plays out, because I don't really think that I don't think that it can sustain itself the way that it's going now. In this situation, I'm looking forward to how, hopefully that this is just one step closer to the idea of open enrollment. And I again, unfortunately, athletic directors might not like it. The really good athletic directors that really want to build and develop their programs, get the right coaches in there, not allow the bad parents to influence the development aspect of the program. They are going to build programs and they're going to attract people. So I'm really hoping that this is just one step closer to that. Obviously, like I said, other states have adopted it, and I think it's probably working out in those states. Obviously, it never works out for every school, because some schools don't do what they need to do to make a program sustain itself. So yeah, I guess I don't know what else to say other than
yeah,
we'll wait and find out. But it is unfortunate for if Colin doesn't get to wrestle this next year. I feel bad for him, because I know that he's been training hard, and he really
right.
likes the transition, and he's got a good environment. I was, close to the environment that he's at right now, and I know he's getting good training, and he's excited about it. But for whatever reason, whatever the situation, I don't know enough about his situation specifically. Um, but yeah, I hope the best for him, because um, yeah, I think he was pumped up about it, and I'm glad that the other kids got the ruling, and we're waiting to see about Jimmy's situation. And
Right. I mean,
yeah,
in the end, I mean, there's, guidelines. If you are going to transfer and you do X, Y, Z, then at the end of the day, hey, you might not like that they left, but if they followed the rules and did what they're supposed to, and crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, then the kids should get to compete.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it, but if the
Yeah.
system's there and they followed the rule of the system, then you know, just
Yeah.
like we
And
don't have to like the college football playoff system,
yeah.
but the system's there and they put it in place. So hey, you gotta
Yeah.
you're gonna
Well, yeah, the college system is a great example. I mean, there's a lot of things that change the fans' perspective, right? So, say we were talking about the Ohio State kid entering the transfer portal. Like,
Mhm.
as a fan of that team, right? Like, you have this allegiance to that team, and you see it disruption because of a new rule. Um, it's hard for some people to go, hey, this is the best thing for that kid to do, though.
Yeah,
Um, and it's like, yeah, but you're impacting my team. You
right.
know, this is my
Yeah.
team. So it's just
It, that
obviously,
logic
yeah,
never comes in. Like, oh, that's good for him. No, it's
yeah,
like, no, screw him. He just hurt our
yeah.
team.
He just made Ohio State. But I mean, in that situation, I really think that I think that's another situation to think about at the college level. That's obviously way different. High school, I don't even think it'll ever get to this type of situation. But in college, say Ryan Day, I think the head coach at
Mhm.
Ohio State is Ryan Day. Say Ryan Day gets fired, the new coach that comes in oftentimes might want to bring his own
Right.
quarterback in, might want to get a new quarterback, might even see this quarterback and say, hey, he's not good enough for my team. I need to get a new one.
Yeah.
So, that happens at the NFL level for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That was I think that was one of the conversations around Sean Payton coming to the Denver Broncos, whether or not him and
Wilson, get along.
Wilson were going to get along and stuff. And right now they're trying to work it out. And I think they went on a little bit of a run, so they might work out, but it's not, there's been a lot of situations where it didn't work out, where they're like, hey, we got to get rid of this quarterback. We're going to start
Right.
new, get a new thing going. So at the college and professional level, you definitely see that when new staffs come in, they clean house oftentimes. So yeah, I mean, that's way different. I don't think high school sports will ever participate like that. But yeah, speaking of though high school sports, I did want to talk to you about this pertaining to Belvidere, because I was interested to know what you knew, or how much you knew. Because I haven't got much opportunity to talk to Danny this year about the program and stuff. But are they for sure ending the co-op next year?
You know,
What's the situation?
I don't know. Don't I've heard two sides. I've heard then they approved it just for this year because it was a tied vote, and they're like, all right, one more year, but then that's it. I've also heard from another AD that no, it will be back up for a vote this year. So I can't give you the answer. Sternquist makes it sound like it's a done deal, like there'll be two separate programs. But I've heard the opposite, that it'll go back to a vote. So
Yeah.
um,
Well, let's
I don't
talk
know.
about this, because Coach Martinez has been hashtagging keep the co-op.
Mhm.
Um, and when I took over the program in, I think, 2018, what I liked about the co-op was the consolidation to try to like rebuild the culture, rebuild the numbers, and rebuild
Mhm.
the goals of the town itself. But it was never the concept or idea to just keep it in perpetuity. In high school wrestling specifically, the easiest way for a school to provide access and opportunity for students is if they don't have to get on a bus. They just
Right,
go to the wrestling room.
right.
So I am very curious about why the need or the desire to continue to keep. If the numbers are good, I don't know the numbers. I don't know enough information to make a educated decision on it. But I don't know the middle school program. I don't know the kids program. I've been out of it,
Right.
away from it. So I was curious if you knew anything about numbers and
Well,
how the program was looking, as far as like, because if it's not financial, but if it's if it's numerically feasible, right? I think that's a good way to describe it. If there's enough numbers and there's enough participation to go back to 2 programs, why wouldn't we, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess there's two sides to look at, what's your goal of a program, you know? I'll agree. There might be kids who, oh, we gotta get on the bus, I gotta go to North. Even in the volleyball co-op that we do, they talked about that. That was one of the deterrents to the North kids because they had to come to Belvidere to practice. So they dissolved the co-op in that. This will be the first year they have two separate teams, so it'll be interesting because I think in the past it was pretty even number of kids last year. I think there might have been more Belvedere kids, so we'll see if North and both schools now can still field. I think they've put whatever they had, 2 levels or 3 levels they compete at. I know the numbers this year. He's been hovering close to 50. Very young, a lot of freshmen and sophomores. They got a lot of young kids out at North this year, which was good to see. I think probably around 15 kids from Belvidere over there. I think that's about the number. Again, they're all young. I don't know how many freshmen though. When I say young, there's sophomores that were on the team last year. Junior high wise, I heard at Belvidere South they only have 3 8th graders this year, and their numbers have been down the last couple of years. So
You said 3 8th graders?
yeah.
Well, that's not good.
No, hang on 1 second. I gotta rotate.
Yeah.
Going back to sustainability, to programs, you can get the kids out to high school maybe more, bring them in from the hallways, get them out because you're here, hey, come out. But in order for that program to get better, it's got to start at that junior high. You got to get kids that
Well,
they're
I think even lower than that.
right.
You have to have, at the couple, a couple of years ago when I first took over, and I talked to Jody, we were talking about Hononegah and how they were down and stuff. I said, yeah, but don't worry, they have a really good foundational program. Like, so it's like they're gonna be good. It's just a matter of time until 30 kids show back up and they'll be fine. So I think it always starts with the foundation. So I guess yeah, like I said, I'm not really sure enough to know. I definitely know that I've been to Rochelle. I saw Stillman Valley. Stillman Valley's not very good skill wise, but they got kids. They had JV. They had so there's tons of small programs that have people participating, and obviously. Overall, I think participation and activity is up, and wrestling seems like it's a really good it seems like the sport of wrestling is having not a shortage of interest. And so I feel like there's no reason that Belvedere doesn't have the interest to get involved. Now, I don't know the connection and relationship between football and stuff, but I even see that I don't know how many of these kids at these other schools are playing football as well. So yeah, I guess it would be interesting to see what kind of happens over the next year.
Yeah, it will be. I know the football coach at Belvedere is a big proponent of wrestling, doing something. He's not, oh, hey, you got to be in the weight room with me, blah, blah, blah. He wants them doing something. He understands the benefit of wrestling. So and he's in the building, so he would be a good promoter. He talked to his guys this year about coming
How
up.
was the numbers for football? Are they back up?
They were decent, but they're still, they're
Yeah. So overall, just still struggling as far as the athletic department.
I guess, as Sternquist would say, we're trending in the right direction,
Yeah.
with numbers, but I don't look at every program overall, so I don't know
Yeah.
how they are, and it's the same, you the sustainability because you get kids that come out and all right, and then they get in a couple games, get their butts kicked or something, and
Yeah, I
they
mean that's a hard part, and that's where I go back and forth with Marty about some of this stuff. Is like, you know, at the end of the day, you can as a coach, you can be as tough as you want, but the kids themselves aren't necessarily as tough as you are. So
right,
you can't you can't go, oh, these kids need to compete all the time. I would even say if you tried to build numbers, like you said, maybe only do a minimal schedule, really,
yeah,
like,
yeah, and
it-
make it.
or at
They
least give
got to
the
have
option of a
success.
minimal schedule. Yeah, yeah,
Hey, if we go back and there's two, you know, you're not looking at winning state titles at Belvidere next year, right?
yeah, not
Or
to,
not a couple. So get these kids, let them have success, and then at the end of the year, you throw them into the regional, right?
yeah,
And let them test the waters there. The varsity conference. You go to tournaments where you can succeed. You
yeah.
know,
I guess, another thing would be hard is, again, I wonder what's going to happen over the next couple of years or whatever, but um, I still, I don't like that you have to duel everybody. Although, even though since I've been following the conferences and I've been going through the duels and stuff, I do like that there's a narrative to follow, right? Like, I get to go watch Belvedere wrestle
right.
Harlem, or I get to wrestle Hononegah wrestle Belvedere. There is a good component to the narrative of people wrestling everybody, but I definitely don't think you should require um that duel.
Yeah,
I get why they do it, because they're a conference and they're working together and stuff, but
and this would be
it just sometimes it
a
gets
conversation
problematic.
for another time when I have more time to go into it. Because I agree with you because in the end, the duels don't do anything. There's
Yeah,
nothing. They mean nothing.
especially if, like you
Right.
said, you're not a dual meet team, you're not looking to go to dual team state
Right.
or something. So
Yeah. So yeah, I would. That's a discussion I would actually. Speaking of dual team state, there, you know, thoughts in my head how I think it it could be done differently. A dual team and then have an individual. And I'd like to have Marty in to kind of hear it and see his thoughts on it as well because he was in those quite a bit. But just totally separate them. There's the Abe's Rumble they have, which is like the Class 1A dual
state
team,
tournament.
right? You got the Flavin, which pretty much has the top 3A. So you find a 2A tournament. You do them all over the winter break. Invite or whatever. Teams can enter. If you're a 1A team, you enter, and this is the team state tournament. And you set them up in pools, wrestle your round robins, your top 8 move to the top bracket, and so on and so forth. And at the end, you've got your dual team state champ in each class. So we get to the end of the year when the regionals roll around, it's the only thing you're focusing on is your individuals, getting ready to win individual titles. And your team that has maybe you only have 9 guys, right? You're not going to win the dual team. You could win that regional title. You could win that sectional, and they're tough enough. You could be the individual team state champs, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I mean, I like it. I think the
and
I think
to me, at the end too, and I hate that the state doesn't do it, but let's say like you know you get Belvedere the one year Rob and Roth both win state. Well, Belvedere probably finishes in the top 10 in the state tournament, right? That's something a program builder. Hey, we just took 10th in the state,
yeah.
right? So kids might get more. you know, you build up an interest around your programs because at the end you can say, hey, the individual, this is where we finished, you know.
Yeah. Well, Marty and I, when we were talking about that
Yeah,
recently about why don't they do points at the state tournament and do a individual team title for the individual tournament. And as far as the team stuff, obviously Marty disagreed with me, but I've never thought of it like that. I never got excited. I never thought that the dual team stuff was really that exciting. Even
yeah,
I mean, when I was there coaching with Montini, like it was exciting in the moment, but like nobody was, really like thinking that was their goal. It was individual goals that turned into a
exactly.
team state title.
Right.
As
You
far as
know,
like the time of year, I think it makes perfect sense to get it kind of out of the way before the state series because um, just from my experience in it, it was like you get to the highest of highs from the state tournament, and then it's like now you got to turn right back around and do this team state. It's like, and again, you don't get the fans out. Like this is not the
you wrestle
same
you wrestle on a
environment.
Tuesday night. Like
Yeah, it doesn't.
whoever schedules Tuesday night duels anyways. I mean,
Yeah, the whole
you
sectionals
got
and
guys
stuff. Yeah,
downstate who just competed, now, and you've had guys who've been out since regionals for 2.5 more weeks have to watch their weight.
yeah.
I
Plus,
mean,
like
it's just not.
last year, remember Tony Alvarado, he
Yeah,
was hurt
he was hurt
because of
up
the state
two
tournament.
weight classes.
Yeah, so
You know,
yeah, I'm with you, but I don't know why they do it.
well,
Maybe we'll
the
get
IHSA,
maybe we'll get them on here.
the
The IHS.
IHSA will not give two trophies, I believe is what I've heard. Because wrestling right now is the only sport that does an individual and a team tournament, right? So like track's individual. There's only the track that's track state champs are determined at the individual. But wrestling's a dual entity because you have the dual format and you have the tournament format. That's how it's set up. So to me, it makes sense. Like the IWCLA, you step in, you run a dual. Let the IHSA take over just the individual. You can give out your individual, your regional champs, your sectionals, and your state trophies downstate for team placers, right? IWCA runs the dual team, and then the IHSA is out of it, and you can probably run a great tournament. They run the fresh off state at the end of the year, so I mean,
Yeah, I don't understand what are you talking about? Why couldn't they still give out the
well,
team award?
I just don't know if the IHSA would
Oh,
do two
well,
separate state tournaments. So that's what I'm saying. You let
I
the
see. But they
you know
do. They do two state tournaments. I'm confused. They do
well
individual state
they do,
tournament and they do
but
a
what I'm
team
saying
state.
is they won't if we want them to give out a team trophy at the individual state tournament.
What is that, $50 for a trophy? What are you
I
talking
don't.
about? This
I
is
mean,
crazy. They
for
already do
for
the
an
like
organization that's making money,
yeah, all I'm
it's
saying,
probably nothing. But I
yeah,
just
it
don't
is
see them
nothing.
doing it.
All they have to do is press a button on track to see who wins the team title.
It
Like
is, and
it
it's a simple
again,
button. You just keep team score.
yeah, I mean it's very simple and some of these things I wish there was an opportunity to ask these types of questions or whatever, but I also know that some of those people don't want to talk and have answers to these questions, but at the end of the day, it gets sorted out. I think, like you
Well,
said, they're already doing the Flavin is the state tournament in a way already. Like it's a
yeah,
national exposure to dual
yeah.
competition.
And you just instead of opening it up to out of state, you just
Because again, if you
top
think about
32
it,
teams in 3A. Come on in. Let's do
but
it. If you don't
if
want
you,
to do it, you don't have to, right?
yeah, but if you win the Flavin, I mean, what's the difference between winning that and winning state? I mean, who won it last year? It was a Marmion?
Aurora
No.
Marmion, I think, won it last year.
Yeah.
Then St. Charles won state,
Yeah.
but they were
So,
both in it.
but did Marmion, didn't they get the bad end of, no, they were at the team state too. Who was the
Yeah,
one that got the bad end of
Marist.
I'm not sure. Remember, because obviously
Yeah.
they do yeah.
Well, and here's the other thing, like you do this, you open it up for those teams who are stuck in a regional. You open it up for all those teams to actually compete for the dual team state. I'll just look out here. You got Lena,
Yeah.
Dakota in the same, you
Yeah.
know,
No, I agree.
only one of them's moving on.
And your team state isn't decided from an individual tournament.
Right.
So, I mean, again, we're not in charge. If we were in charge, maybe we'd change the world, right? But unfortunately, it's not how it works. But
Well,
hopefully,
common sense
yeah,
sometimes doesn't come up.
hopefully they,
Well,
I mean, yeah,
maybe we get the right people to listen to this, and like
yeah.
again, I'd like to get Marty in here, and
Well, Marty, I mean, Marty was
I think
definitely
Marty would be on board.
yeah. I mean, a lot of people are. I mean, again, getting people to agree on the masses is the difficult aspect. You can get 3 people to agree, but you can't get the masses to
Yeah.
agree. That's
Well,
where political power comes in play. They
the,
just do what they do.
my thinking was Marty is I'm a old school mindset, not as old school mindset as Marty is, right? So we can get
Are you calling
Marty.
him old?
Oh yeah, I'm calling him
He's
old.
older than you, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was still in high school when he started teaching. Uh, yeah, so he's old. But if we can get him, like,
You're saying if you can convince the old
convince
man
Marty that
Marty, you
this
can
would be the
convince
way to go,
everybody.
then I think you can convince some other of these old timers, like, no, this is how it's always been. This is how it should be. Well, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like everything else. We got to evolve.
Yeah, well, I think we'll finish up here. And
Yeah,
I think
we got
tradition
to get going.
is changing. So
So yeah, we
tradition
can.
doesn't last forever, but